He said he worked upwards of 40 years, and then he said he has about 60,000 in his 401k after retirement. I showed him different strategies on how to maximize his money in the stock market, and he actually ended up making his 60 grand within 6 months. Those are the things that I feel like we should be doing at a much younger age than 60.
They're receiving so much information from everywhere. They're getting overwhelmed, and kids aren't actually doing anything.
They don't have the dealings of financial trauma, if you will. So they're just sponges. They're just taking in the information. We're giving them the information in a gamified way so that they could actually learn and grow and see rewards. But having the skill set of knowing how to trade within, like I said, the biggest money marketplace we have is truly invaluable.
If this world went apocalyptic, would a trader matter?
I would say a trader would be the last one standing.
What? Hey guys, we realize a lot of you are coming to the page and enjoying the content, but we see a lot of you still aren't subscribed. And so if you could click that subscribe button, it'll help our channel grow and give you more episodes with a lot of amazing individuals. Yo, welcome back to another episode of Attractive Mindset. And today's guest, he's already been here. And you know, we like to bring people back on to see where they are today. And so we got Wasi back in the building.
What's going on? What's going on, Rich? How you doing, man?
Good, we good, man.
We good. It took a little bit for us to get here, but we here, man.
Man, it's all good. You know, sometimes.
That's
sometimes it's just sometimes. But
yeah,
man, so you know, for people that we usually bring back onto the show,
yeah,
a lot of them, and the success rate, I just finished maybe a month ago, like highlighting some of the people that came on the show before and like certain endeavors that they're into or they're doing now.
Yeah.
And so what do you have going on from now?
Yeah. So, you know, last time we spoke, we talked a lot about, you know, the stuff that we're doing with Option Snipers at Option Snipers University. Most recently, what we've decided to do is to reach back down to the youth and give them more information on how to invest in the stock market, essentially exposing them to the information a lot earlier. Obviously not actually risking real money, but just exposing them to the understanding of what the stock market is, how it's the biggest money marketplace, and how they can utilize it to invest and earn money, you know, as they grow older into adulthood.
I like that. You know, isn't there a website where, and I think we talked about this. No, we didn't talk about this last time, but isn't there a website where you can like go do stocks and stuff with like fake money?
Yeah. So there's a couple, what those are called, they're called prop firms. So you have prop firms, but then there's also, you know, a lot of the brokerages actually also have their own paper trading platforms, such as Charles Schwab. They have their own paper trading platform, E-Trade as well. But then there's also what we call prop firms that actually allows you to leverage other people's money so that you can, you know, make profits that way, right? But starting off with learning how to paper trade first, getting the fundamentals intact, and then, you know, leveling up from there.
Got it. Because what I was going to say is there a prop firm for the youth?
Yeah. So unfortunately not. Now, obviously they can leverage, you know, their parents' accounts and things like that. You know, but
I feel like you should do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, because you got, like, I was looking at the book a little bit. If y'all haven't seen the book, it's called Stock Market Made Easy
for Kids.
Yep. And so, you know, looking at the design, the illustration is fire, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Everything in here is very well depicted.
Yeah.
And I like how it's written. Y'all can see a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But I feel like in today's age, not even feel like, the statistics show that these kids are way different than when we grew up.
Absolutely.
And so the chances of them reading a book, unfortunately, versus actually being on their phone or the computer is like night and day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the thing is, you know, reading is fundamental for sure, right? So the idea is at least having the literature out there for them to have access to. Because when we were growing up, that was the main way that we were learning, right? It was through books. And so, you know, having the exposure of the stock market through literature, at least first and foremost, then kind of compounding on that with, you know, video courses and things like that. That's actually what we're offering.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, you know, the book itself, it's for this book specifically is middle school age. But what we have as well is the opportunity to also be mentored. I actually have a couple college students that I'm mentoring who are actually making money while they're on campus, right? I have a sophomore right now. He's averaging about $1,000 a month in the markets, right? But obviously that starts with just the education and understanding, how to put the education and the understanding into practice. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, yo, what's going on? This is Wasi of Option Snipers University. Listen, are you somebody that's an entrepreneur? You're near retirement. You are out of college. Listen, if you're somebody that wants to learn how to multiply money with money, you definitely want to join us at Option Snipers University. So go ahead and check us out at www.optionsnipersuniversity and we'll get you situated.
And so, with you saying things like that, like, with you doing the courses and stuff, I feel like, and you can give me a percentage later. I'm not going to ask for it up front, but
talk to me.
You should have a middle schooler doing the videos. Hire one.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That and that's actually the whole idea of it. Actually, is to have the children teach their peers as well. So, so the book is actually a part of Skip Skool University, right? Skip Skool University, right? And so what Skip Skool University is essentially an online platform educating child entrepreneurs with the systems and schools, the systems and the skill sets that the traditional school system skipped over, right? So there's some skill sets that the traditional school system didn't give us, which is what we're looking to essentially pass down, right? Because obviously there's new ways to make money, there's new understandings. For what it's worth, the school system as it is right now is pretty antiquated with the information that they're giving out. Yeah. As times are now changing, there's information that's also changing, but they're not going back and changing, the curriculum, right? So we decided to step in and essentially inject our skill sets into the younger generation so that they could now learn how to make money in today's current market, right? Because the best way to build wealth is in the season of where that wealth is being generated, right? So about 10 years ago, there wasn't any money in podcasting, right? You would assume. Or it's not as much as it is today. Fair. Right? Pertaining to advertising, marketing, X, Y, and Z, right? And so that's a part of it, right? Actually, within Skip Skool, we have one of our kids, his name is Super Saya, right? And Super Saya is, I believe, 12 years old, right? But Super Saya is generating money that essentially is allowing his whole family to feed off of.
Through stocks?
Not just through stocks, but he's a content creator. So he creates content. He's a game streamer, and he also creates relatable content, family content on YouTube, right? He has about, I think, maybe 5 million followers on YouTube currently. Oh, wow. Right. And so imagine he has essentially partners and sponsors that are, collaborating with him so that he can earn money. Now he's seeing money that we at 12 years old, right, didn't see, right? And so that's essentially why we created Skip Skool. So Super Sai actually created a course within Skip Skool, essentially detailing his journey on how he became a content creator. And we've allowed young people to also watch his content so that they can essentially aspire to be a content creator. Now, if you go into your schools today, there's no classes on learning how to be a content creator, right? So that's essentially how Skip Skool came about. And Skip Skool is spelled SKIP SKOOL, right? We actually decided to purposefully misspell the word school, obviously, so it sounds really cool, right? But then also just to kind of reiterate the idea that we're doing school a little differently. You know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah, I mean it's spelled like school games. School.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, school like the Alex Hormozy platform. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's not even. You see, and this is why sometimes the idea of a brand appeases me because he don't own the platform.
Well, Sam does, yeah.
And so, but everybody that's the first response, and we all know that because I say it too. I'd be like, "Oh, Hormozy thing," and it's not even his thing. It's not his thing, essentially. He's made it so big that it's something that we just naturally gravitate towards. But no, I like it. So what made you gravitate more towards the youth?
Yeah. So what I started to see was that as far as our adults, I have students.
Fried.
I have students that are 50 years old, just now learning information about the stock market, right? Specifically in our community, right? Black and African community, right? And so it really baffled me because, for instance, there's a story I usually tell. I have a 60-year-old client that essentially, he reached out to us to learn how to trade. Right. And so, he just talked about his experience working 9 to 5, corporate America through his journey. He said he worked upwards of 40 years. And then he said he has about 60,000 in his 401k, right, after retirement.
Dang.
And I'm like,
he gonna have to go back to work.
I mean, the sad reality is that that's just simply not enough, right? I mean, and here's what I would say, right? Actually, I'll finish the story. So essentially, when we started to work together, I showed him different strategies on how to, maximize his money in the stock market, and he actually ended up making his 60 grand within 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Right. So think about that. You worked 60 years, you throw all your money somewhere, you don't know where it is. You 40 years, he worked 40 years, I mean. But being 60 years old, right? After 40 years, you've thrown in money somewhere, and then you wake up at 60 years old and see it's only 60,000. And I say only because 40 years of work and seeing 60,000 from that, that's not that good, right?
It's not good at all.
It's not good at all, right? And so, but it's interesting to see information change people, because once he learned what we were doing, it actually brought a lot of youth back to him. It allowed him to do things like travel with his family, right? Purchase a new family vehicle for him and his family,
nice.
And things like that. And so it's just like, those are the things that I feel like we should be doing at a much younger age than 60.
Yeah.
Right. So that's essentially the reason as far as how Skip Skool came about. What I was thinking was, how could he have achieved the success he has right now at a much younger age so that he could be able to experience it longer? Right.
You have kids?
Yeah, I do have kids. I have 2 boys.
Okay. How old are they now? Middle school age?
No, they're not middle school age yet. Not just yet. But when they do get to that age, we're going to be on and popping for sure. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's a legacy play, really. The information that we give the young people, it transforms them, specifically because they don't have the dealings of financial trauma, if you will, right? Being an adult and thinking about how many responsibilities you may have or how many opportunities you took that didn't end up panning out.
Yeah.
Right. Things like that. So they're just sponges. They're just taking in the information. We're giving them the information in a gamified way so that they could actually learn and grow and see rewards, even if it isn't financially, like with money in their actual pockets. But having the skill set of knowing how to trade within, like I said, the biggest money marketplace we have, it's truly invaluable. You know what I mean?
So, they say history repeats itself in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And the way that we're seeing it, so my background is organizational psychology, but I dip into other aspects of psychology as well. And I'm a stats guy. So I've been looking at the statistics, and in the actual statistics, to circle around what you said about like, they don't have to deal with like the financial trauma, especially when they have a parent figure that is, money conscious or has like a system or business set up in place already. Like these kids aren't growing up in a state of struggle that we grew up in,
right?
But the struggle that they are growing up in is actually information trauma. And so they're receiving so much information from everywhere, online, social media, coaches, home, school, everything, that they're getting overwhelmed, and kids aren't actually doing anything. And so in a day and age where a lot of information is coming at these kids, and they even have cell phones way earlier than we did, like, how are you making yourself stand out to be like, hey, this is something that you should pay attention to out of all the things that you got to pay attention to?
Yeah. So what we like to do is we like to incorporate what we do with what they already enjoy doing. Right. So we talk about empowering the younger generation through actually tapping into what they already like, right? Which is why we decided to partner with people like Super Saya, right? Because the whole idea of what he's doing is that what he's doing is essentially organic for him, right? It's natural, right? He's creating content and he's getting the understanding of the reward from creating content, which allows him to continue to do that.
So what kind of content does he focus on?
So he focuses on family content, skits, and things like that.
Got it.
He does things like unboxing videos.
Got it. So now,
things
how
like
much
that.
of this is him, and how much of this is his parents?
That's a great question. So his mom, she actually is based in Florida. They're actually based
Okay.
in Florida here in Miami, and so she is also a content creator, right? And so she plays a huge part because what she was able to do is essentially to organize what he has going on, right? And I think that's really key for parents today, is to really tap into what your children like, and essentially create a system around monetizing whatever that is, right? So she actually has a couple videos in the course for parents to watch so that they can also replicate the things that Super Saya was able to do. So
Got it.
some of the videos is Super Saya explaining his process, and then some of the videos is his mother essentially talking about what her role has been as a momager in his life and how it allowed him to propel. I mean, she goes even as far as talking about how his name came up, right? His name is Saya. She talked about how it came from the word Messiah, which is
So
essentially
SIAH or SIA?
SIAH, yeah.
Nice.
So she talks about how it derived from the word Messiah, meaning essentially to save people. So the idea for her, as far as even birthing her son, right, that kind of came from the beginning for him, for real, right? And so we aspire to see, more of our people do that for our kids. Because again, the information getting to them earlier, speaking about financial trauma, right? If our counterparts or, other demographics, when they start thinking about the stock market, right, and then they come to their parents to speak about it, their parents already have an understanding of those things, so they don't discourage it from them, right? Which is why you see a lot of the hedge fund managers, a lot of a lot of policymakers and people like that within other demographics, right, that are able to be successful in those fields. But in our households, if we were to come home essentially at some point in time in our lives and say, hey, I want to learn about the stock market, our parents may push their financial trauma on us, sometimes subconsciously, right? And that essentially is what keeps us kind of behind the eight ball, if you will, you know. And so that's the whole idea of it. And I think it's really about what we decide to bank on, right? So I say this as well. We talked about credit earlier. There's 3 banks that give very terrible interest rates that I would never suggest.
Capital on Tap. Is that one of them?
No, it's not. It's
well,
not.
That got to be the 4th.
I'm gonna give you the 3 banks because these
4.
3.
I'm not playing about Capital on Tap. I'm telling you, Capital on Tap.
Hey, Capital One. Hey, Rich got a problem with y'all. So
they already know.
Y'all gotta make it right with Rich. Y'all.
They already know. I done did episodes where I done called them all type. Like I have good credit.
Yeah.
You know the APR they locked me in at?
What's that?
They gave me a business credit line for $20,000, $25,000. 47.6%.
No. Nah, Capital One, y'all gotta do better.
Capital on Tap.
Capital One.
Not Capital One. Capital on Tap.
Capital on Tap.
It's horrible.
Y'all gotta do better.
And this is when my score was a 700. Over 700.
Right. Nah.
They gave me that. And I'm like, excuse me, hello? What's going on? They're like, oh no, that's the card.
Capital on Tap, y'all not tapping in.
Disgusting.
Capital on Tap is not tapping in.
It's the worst I've ever dealt with.
Yeah. So these are the 3 banks, right?
4.
Okay. we're adding Capital on Top.
Got to.
These are the 3 banks. My 3. He has a 4th one. These are the 3 ones that I would consider as the 3 banks that you should never bank with. Okay. Banking on the government is number 1. Okay. Banking on your degree is number 2. Okay. And then banking on your job is number 3. Those are the 3 banks you should never bank with. Okay. You should never bank with them. You want to know why? Banking with your job. Do you know that people get fired for being too valuable at their job?
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine being someone that's a high performer, right? And because you're the business that you're working with at that point in time that you're being employed by, because they're looking at the numbers of things, they're saying, well, he or she is very valuable, but they cost too much for our company, so we're gonna have to cut them out.
And the disparities of it, like Maybe she watches this episode, maybe she doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
she knows I'm going to say it out of love anyway, and she's
Mhm.
trying to change her situation. So when you are an entrepreneur and you live with somebody that's not an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
you know, my girl is telling me a situation about her life at work,
Yeah.
and basically something happened with her old manager. He's not there anymore. She ended up taking his role,
Yeah.
but they brought a new guy in
Mhm.
who gets paid more than her, and she's teaching him.
Does it make any sense?
It doesn't make any
single
sense
bit of
at
sense.
all. And this has been going on for almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
And she's starting to really feel it, because it's like, what do you mean? Like, this
Yeah.
guy is making mistakes. This
Yeah.
guy's all over the place.
Right.
I'm teaching him. And then he even walked up to her and said, why didn't you get this spot?
Right.
And then their version of it at the time was, oh, well, you're too new.
Yeah.
So I'm too new to get paid more and do this stuff, but I'm
But
teaching
y'all
this
trusted
guy.
me y'all trusted me to have him shadow me. Like,
Exactly. And for me, like,
yeah.
you know, because she would always bring up, because I always say something about 9 to 5s, and I always give the disclaimer too. I said nothing's wrong with a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
but you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, the way this economy is set up,
Yeah.
the way this government is set up,
Yeah.
the way a lot of things in this world is set up, is you will not survive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my understanding of this is simple, right? What I would say to that is problem solvers don't panic, they pivot. Right. And what that pivot looks like is understanding what the current climate is as far as how money is being generated, and simply doing an analysis of your own skill sets, the things that you're able to do, and aligning them with how money is being made today. Right. So that's what I would say to that, because again, when you're banking on something like, for instance, your degree, right? We talked about banking on your job. When you're banking on your degree, like, so many degrees are antiquated right now.
Yeah.
First of all, you have to wait for someone to hire you. That's
the second time you
thing.
use that word. I feel like you got somebody in the audience punching air right now. What does that? What does that mean?
What? Which word?
Antiquated.
Antiquated.
Yeah.
Antiquated means, okay, so we're going back to teaching now. So antiquated, we did this last episode.
Yep.
Antiquated essentially means old, outdated, right? It's an antique, antiquated, antique, right? When you think of something that's an antique, it's something that's old, right? Sometimes antiques are a good thing, right? But having a degree that's antiquated is not a good thing. It's like thinking about dinosaurs, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, there's specific professions that we're even being told to be taught that are just simply irrelevant in today's society. Right. And then again, banking on the government, policies change all the time. Right. Again, problem solvers don't panic, they pivot. So something like Airbnb, right? There was a restriction recently on how many
you can have
Airbnbs you can have, right? And I think that was in Atlanta where they first started that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know where it is.
They
now. I guess
put
it's
it
all
everywhere
over.
now. Yeah.
Right. So that's another thing, right? So now being in that position, and that's an entrepreneurial venture that you have to start to think about pivoting, right? So banking on your job, banking on your degree, banking on the government,
and banking with capital on tap.
and banking with capital on tap are very, very dangerous ideas that you want to stay away from, So the whole idea, I believe, is to become increasingly more valuable in who you are. And one of those things I think you can do is by becoming a trader, right? And again, the stock market is a money marketplace, right? A lot of people have the idea of like, well, trading is risky. I don't want to put my money in the markets. What if the stock market collapses? Then you simply have to ask yourself a question. What's more stronger, your banking system or the stock market, right? Because if you think about it,
the bank system.
Well, the banks are fragile because they rely a lot on trust and liquidity, right?
Yeah.
So they're actually much more fragile than the stock market is, right? So if you have your money in a bank, your bank is actually more fragile than the stock market actually is.
I can see the upfront fragileness, but the structure of the bank, this is stuff that Alexander Hamilton and all of them was doing back then, you know. And we shouldn't have made central banking the
thing,
but we did,
which is how crypto came about, right? Because it's decentralized, right?
Exactly.
But then again, right? Think about it this way: if crypto were to at some point in time take over from the centralized banking system, the stock market would still be prevalent, right?
Did you see what Jack Dorsey just said at
InvestFest?
InvestFest?
What did he say?
He said,
he's the former. I don't know if he's still with Square, but he's the former CEO.
I think he's still with Square.
He's still with Square. No, he's former from Twitter. I know he left.
Yeah.
He left Twitter. Yeah.
So with Square, he's like, they're gonna start introducing Bitcoin.
Right.
They're gonna start bringing it into the
world
of payment processing.
Exactly. Now, that would then make banks even much more fragile, right? While the stock market would still hold. Why? Because the stock market is comprised of companies, and we're always going to be in business, right? Like the world is always going to be in business. So they're going to find some sort of way to incorporate crypto within the stock market and then leave central banking behind, right? So when you ask yourself what is more riskier to do, it actually is the centralized banking piece. Now, again, this comes with knowledge at the end of the day. That doesn't mean just throw all your money at the stock market. What that means is positioning yourself in such a way where you are putting your money is in a safer space than where you would with the banks. And here's another thing. As far as, your money being insured, when you put your money into a bank, you're only insured up to $250,000.
This is true.
My guy Rich here has a lot more money than $250,000. Okay, so based on
allegedly,
no, we're not alleging anything here. These are facts. Okay, these are facts. Okay, so the whole idea of that at that time is, and then for a stock market brokerage account, you're insured up to $1 million.
Yeah.
Right. Which is obviously significantly more than 250. So again, we hear so many things out there and we accept them as truths just because we hear them so often. But watching Bitcoin, a decentralized commodity, come in and essentially take a market share of centralized banking is a big deal, right? And then the other thing pertaining to banks versus stock markets, the idea then is when you do invest in a bank, the bank is actually holding stock positions.
It is. Yeah. It actually takes your money and
they take your money and invest it in the stock market. So essentially, like, for someone to say they think it's risky to invest in the stock market and instead putting their money into a bank, what they're essentially saying is, I trust someone else
with my money more than I do it myself.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So at that point in time, what your desire should be to do is to go after the information so that the transformation can follow afterwards. But simply just saying the stock market is risky is not necessarily the most educated understanding.
So now this brings up a couple points in my head. Again, going back to, the history repeats itself kind of thing, where this gets a little scary and it can get a little dark because our government will not let that happen.
Yeah.
Literally, anything that they can't have their hand in to monetize, they do it.
Right.
Weed was illegal before they were able to put their hand in it. And I feel like if the banks really crumble to the threshold that they could, they're gonna find a way to put themselves into both crypto and put themselves into the stock market even heavier.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like it's going to get even scarier because now you're working towards the edge of not the edge, but the edge of how do we make something to combat this? Because again, crypto was made to combat the banks,
right?
And stock market was made to do pretty much the same thing, or at least move the money around a lot more free.
Yeah.
And if they do that, now you almost start from ground zero. Now it's like, all right, well, they done took this over too. So now we have to create a way to break away from them.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it's really just about becoming more valuable as a person. And what I mean by that is, like I said, just essentially going after the information of what's happening in the current climate, right? Because if you focus on being more valuable, at some point in time, the trickle down comes to you, right? And so, I typically focus less on the doom of what potentially can occur and simply just align with what's actually happening, right? Because for instance, like a newspaper company today, if they're not on social media, that's a dying industry, right?
Well,
like
it's actually not.
well, in the sense of
What it
who their
used to be.
competitors
Yeah,
are,
yeah.
right? Because now, if you like podcasting, for instance, is getting rid of a lot of different things. Like TV shows are now, you know, moving into the podcasting realm. You're seeing shows like ESPN hire, you know, individual talent that already has podcasts, right? So that they could, you know, increase their audience, right? You saw ESPN essentially buy Pat McAfee, right? So that's the idea of it. Things are always changing. So it's better to just simply align with what's actually happening, and then also getting an understanding of how things are also formed, right? The central banking system was formed for a specific purpose, right? The stock market is also for a specific purpose. And this doesn't necessarily mean choosing one over the other. What it simply means is just aligning yourself with where the times are going, essentially, right? And so, you know, we talk a lot about AI, right? There's a lot of AI automated trading that is available and prevalent.
Do you
such as what we
know
do right
Dalian
now.
King?
I'm not familiar.
Yeah,
with
big
Dalian
shout
King.
out to Dalian King, man. I call him literally every time I see him
Yeah.
on Instagram, the Black Tony Stark.
Oh, okay.
Because this man is he's the son of KRS One.
Okay.
But he is like, I don't know. I feel like he has too much genius, and because he has so much genius, it's
I didn't even
overlooked
know
on his
KRS
page.
One had a son. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's so overlooked on his page because this man breathes, sleeps AI.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that makes ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And so he came on here and he talked about Sigma View.
Okay.
And it was something. Did he come on here not shortly after? I think he came on here not too long after you, actually. Yeah, but you know, he made something that I don't know if it 100% launched or didn't launch, or I'm not sure the status of it, but how close he is to disrupting the game.
Yeah.
He made something that almost is like, yeah, they're gonna assassinate you.
That's
like,
crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
We're praying against that though, but
well, 100%. But I said it on the show.
Yeah.
And as I see him keep building more stuff, it's my only thought process. Like, yo, we gotta protect this man.
Yeah.
Because he's out there going crazy. Like he'll put his workflows on his profile and stuff. And you see him interacting and talking to ChatGPT and like whatever.
Yeah.
He said something the other day. He was like, oh yeah, I'll make y'all guys an app in a week.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
He was like, whoever wants it.
That's a great example of, you know, someone deciding to become valuable, right? Like,
and he did it with stocks was my whole point around
Okay,
it. Like,
okay.
He did it with stocks and options. And he made something, I can't remember what it was called. Sigma View or something, but I know he was gonna sell it for like $30.
Okay.
Yeah, you were able to access like NASDAQ interface or something, but thousands usually. He's like, yeah, $30.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're gonna body you.
Yeah.
Because you playing with hardcore money. Like, you know,
I think what's so interesting in today's world, like there's such a desire to go viral when I think we should be more focused on going valuable, because that's someone that's decided to become valuable,
100%.
which is to impact other people. And that's a great segue into, you know, everything else we're going to be talking about, because, you know, the idea of being a stock investor and trading options and things like that is essentially gives you more options to do other things, right? Because it's not simply just creating, you know, your own economy and then just riding off into the sunset. For me, I think of it more as being, you know, much more impactful, right, into whatever it is that I'm doing. Because you could take your options gains, your stock market gains, and placing them, you know, within whatever, you know, endeavors that you have, right? I know for a lot of our traders, you know, a lot of clients that I have, they end up being basically the main person in their family, in their generation, that can actually discuss the stock market with the rest of their families, right? So that other people within their families or even their community can be able to, to elevate themselves as well. So I think the main idea is just being more valuable as an individual. Being a trader allows you to do that. And I think there's something powerful about being an answer to where other people only see a problem, right? Multiplying money with money typically for a normal person is a problem, right? And then so obviously there's a lot of prestige and a lot of honor and respect that comes into play when you consider yourself to be somebody that can actually trade money with money, right? So yeah, I think we need to, going viral is cool, but I think we need to start focusing more on going valuable.
Yeah. And that's been my whole podcast. People are like, man, why don't have more views? Why don't have more subscribers? Why don't have more this? Why don't have more that? And I have to really tell them, like, unfortunately, this is what organic looks like.
Yeah.
Because I'm not running ads
Ads,
to funnel the world in there. If you run
Mhm.
ads, it's like 1+1. You're gonna
Yeah,
get a
yeah.
bunch of people.
Yeah.
But can you get people by yourself?
Mm.
Can you get people naturally?
Yeah.
We have almost 2,000 subscribers naturally.
Yeah.
People that wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And this is like authentic, because I literally had the convo with YouTube just yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo,
Guys,
I feel like my channel's not growing.
That's a crazy flex just now. Let's just stop and just listen to exactly what Rich just said. He had a conversation with YouTube yesterday. YouTube, okay? An entire platform. Go ahead, just keep
I had
going.
a convo
Just keep going.
with the back end of YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, why are my rates growing so low? I feel like is my subscriber count like frozen or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, no, you're actually growing at a really good pace.
Yeah.
And she was like, we always go in and we've implemented new things to remove the spam, the bots, all of that. She was like, your account's really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, man.
Yeah.
I was low-key even hoping like something was wrong
something
with
else
it,
was
because
there. Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is the grind. Like, this is what it really feels like, looks like.
Yeah.
Some people gravitate towards other topics, whatever, but we're over 200 episodes.
Yeah.
And we've been doing this for a few years now.
Yeah.
And it's authentic stories, authentic whatever. We have a bigger base on audio platforms, but pushing the YouTube stuff and getting it out there is always like that extra piece. And then I see other people come in and they'll drop 1,000 or 5,000 on ads, 10,000 on ads, whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll get the views and everything. But I'm like, one, I know you're not monetizing that properly.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Two,
yeah.
You're paying for upfront. And so they're making money off of whatever they're selling on the back end.
Yeah.
They're not actually making money off of YouTube, or they're not actually making money off of that piece of the platform.
The content itself. Yeah.
And the fakeness of value that's being presented nowadays is an actual problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, and this is one of the points that I wanted to bring up, there's a whole generation of youth, kids that aren't spoken to right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I started gravitating more towards them because I don't really see representation with them.
Right.
When you think of making a book for a specific group, so like you said, middle school for this group, right? I can conceptualize that book. I can say, okay, cool. I can see this being in classrooms. I can see this being taught. I can see this, looking like them, representing them. But then I pass the entire high school / 2 years after high school group. And then we go to the college.
Yeah.
College will have books again.
Right.
I don't feel like there's dedicated books or dedicated representation towards that. Not even just 9th grade. I want to say 11th to
like freshman year, sophomore year, kind of.
Yeah, like sophomore year, junior year of high school to even 2 years after if they don't go to college.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in somebody's journey or in a child's journey, and most of the people that I've talked to have been on this podcast. That's the other fortunate part of having a podcast is you hear everybody's story.
Yeah.
And what I started to see was a trend of people ended up in almost or damn near the same situation of struggle with different upbringings.
Yeah.
They didn't have to be from the hood.
Right.
They didn't have to, have a rich dad or poor dad or whatever. Somehow their life altered by something happening from that age demographic, that age group. And that's what really made me start shifting my company focus towards what about the people that aren't necessarily looking for help because they don't know how.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think about that a lot. What's so interesting is, going to school, I graduated from Howard University, and I remember
Flex.
Not
Flex.
necessarily. See, now we're playing the flexing game. This I have a whole other conversation about that. It's like we have this thing in the Black community where like we don't just congratulate people. We always have to kind of make fun of it. I think that's a problem, low key. I actually do think that's a problem. Like, it's like we might have something good going on. It's like, oh, I see you, big dog.
I'm trying to be like you.
I'm trying to be like you. And it's like, bro. That's fun. And I'm obviously, I fall victim to that at times too. We got to figure out some way to change that. But, so essentially what I was saying was, I went to school and I remember being in the financial aid office and them showing me like the student loans and the federal Pell Grant or, this grant or that grant or this interest rate. And I just remember not understanding a single bit of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, all I knew was that I had to go get the education because that's just what was taught to me. So I'm signing my name somewhere. And literally years later, however many years later, you're still paying for, whatever it is you were learning, whatever education you went out and got, just because, you looked at a paper and you just saw numbers at it. So I did use a degree.
Okay.
I did successfully. So I graduated with my bachelor's in information systems. So,
Flex.
Oh my God.
Flex.
This guy's crazy. I can't even get through this right now. But after school, I went and worked at Microsoft for about 7 years, Microsoft Corporation.
Yeah.
That's how I was able to actually kind of see the world a bit. I was actually able to travel for work. So I was going essentially across the country.
So you like Bill Gates?
Not necessarily Bill. I don't know what Bill Gates is on right now, so I'm not going to attach myself to nothing Bill Gates got going on. But essentially, so that's how I got my start. But for a lot of people, they don't have that story, right? A lot of people have their degrees hanging up on the wall, and it's not making any money for them while still being, still having to pay for, how they got that degree. And so and for me, I didn't understand the interest rates. I didn't understand, anything that was in front of me on the paper, and so what I started to realize was for most individuals, their most important financial decision, they make that decision without even having the knowledge at that time. And that's really scary, right? Because you're now doing things and not necessarily understanding the responsibility of what is actually happening. So that's actually the purpose behind Skip Skool, right? Is what I thought was, I said, well, going back in time, I would have liked someone to sit me down, someone that had the understanding, someone that was also an entrepreneur, that had the understanding of these things, that could actually walk me through what life would look like on the other side of high school or, trade school or whatever the case is, right? So that we could be informed on what we're doing,
So what made you target middle school? Because I know for me, at least, I'm not thinking about this in middle school.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about anything in middle school.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking about in middle school, but
yeah. So, I mean, the school starts with middle school just because that's more of the literation age. So essentially when kids are able to read. Right.
So I think
literate appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just made me see it from a different point of view.
Sure.
And I completely disregarded it at first. I wasn't even thinking about it that way, but that's actually smart.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a subconscious integration.
Yeah. Exactly.
Where, nobody's in middle school is like herotizing, I want to be a stock trader when I grow up, but the fact that they've heard it, ingested it, learned about it, presented to them, when they do get older, they are more comfortable naturally, and they may not even know why.
Yeah.
But they'll be like, "Oh, I read this back in that," because I remember books that I read way back of Mice and Men, Lord of the Flies,
To Kill a Mockingbird,
all of that,
like that.
All of that stuff, and it's like, do I like them or not like them. I don't know, but I know I read
But
them.
yeah, and you have the understanding of it. And that's the most important part. You know, the Bible says, you know, train up a child in the way of the Lord and they will never depart from it. So essentially what that means is, you know, the information that you give someone at an early age is never going to leave them. So if we start at middle school, and again, this is just an introduction, right? The book itself is a story about two kids that are essentially looking to just do something right within their family for their parents. It's actually their mom's birthday, so they're looking at how they can get their mom a birthday gift. So they actually think about, you know, doing something specifically to get the money to do it, which in the book obviously is investing in the
Nigerian
market.
family?
The son is Nigerian. Okay. He does have a Nigerian name. The son does, but everybody else has just, you know, normal American names.
Gotcha.
I had to sneak Nigerian there somewhere. You know, I had to.
I already know.
You know, I had to.
I felt it.
You know what I'm saying? So you know, so it's really just the idea of, you know, even through storytelling, you know, for even as adults, as we grow older, we are able to retain information as a story. That's literally the best way we retain information, right? And so, you know, having a story being read to, you know, for instance, I have a client that actually purchased the book. She lives in Dubai, right? Her son is 8 years old, right? A little bit before middle school, I believe, right? And so, no, I think that is actually middle school. 8, right? Yeah, I think 8 is middle school.
I have no idea.
And so, anywho, so he read the book, and then the question he asked his mom was, "Hey, mom, what stocks are we going to be investing in as a family this year?" How many of us at 8 were asking our parents that question?
I mean, how many of us at 8 live in Dubai? You got to put that dynamic out there too. So he thinking a little different.
Right. That's too funny.
Yeah.
But
they don't got tax out there like that. Like, yeah, they got that kind of combo.
Yeah. But I mean, these are you know, these are kids, right? These are young people with a like, that question is never going to leave him. You know, and because children are so inquisitive at such an early age, right? The idea is that information is never going to leave them, right? Like, he's not going to become 18 and ask, what's the stock market, right? Like, that's not going to be his reality. So imagining what that would look like on the other end is actually really empowering, right? Like, a lot of the information, like, for instance, there's potentially information that you have now that you would have liked to have learned when you were much younger, right? And so for what we do at Skip Skool is we actually take people who are actually proficient in these areas and are essentially systemizing the idea of creating the content in such a way that it's digestible for the younger generation so that they can then grow up with it.
Is this on school?
This is actually on school.
That makes
funny
sense.
enough, funny enough, we actually incorporated before school actually dropped.
Gotcha.
So it just happened to be a coincidence that way. But our platform actually is also located on school. You know, so that was the whole idea of it. In fact, I remember when Alex Hormozy released the information on school, I was like, oh wow, we have, you know, similarities here. But
I wasn't on the school wave before, but after his latest drop, I joined
the one he just dropped just now.
Because it was a no-brainer.
The $100 million money models.
For me, like, I'm super frugal.
Okay.
I'm super frugal. And I was like, okay, cool. If I build something that's community-based, like, I don't like the idea of having to give somebody something forever.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
And so $300 a month for what?
Yeah.
Just this?
Yeah.
But I get it and I don't get it because I'm like, well, I didn't create it. So, you know, somebody did.
Right.
And that's the value that they put on it. But after he dropped his book and they dropped it down to $99 a month, I have no problem. And that's also my toxicity. I have no problem adding on subscriptions that are $100 a month. I posted it the other day. My subscriptions. Do you know how many subscriptions?
How many
subscriptions alone, I pay a year.
Let's say
I posted it the other day on my story, and people were like, "What are you subscribing to?"
A year?
A year. Yeah.
Are we talking 5 figures?
Yes.
5 figures on subscriptions?
On subscriptions, yes.
A year?
Yes.
What are you subscribing to, bro?
That's exactly what they said. They said, what are you subscribing to? And it's just the businesses.
Yeah.
The businesses have so many different
things you got
thresholds and stuff. And I'm just like, yo, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually nasty.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's around like a little over 10K
Wow.
on subs.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh,
yeah, that's different.
you know, but that's why when he dropped it down,
Yeah.
I said, oh yeah, 90, 99, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Take it. You can have it. I'll pay for the year. You know, and that's my toxic trait is,
Yeah.
you know, that's how they get it. And then it's still forever.
Mhm. Absolutely.
It's just forever at a smaller amount.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. But, you know,
Yeah.
that makes me think of two things when it comes to the stock market.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's this recent, I don't know, disruption slash, I don't know how it's justified, but it is justified,
Yeah.
where Cracker Barrel
Mhm.
actually went down.
Yeah, because they
and the
changed their
stock-
brand.
because they changed their logo.
Their logo, yeah.
And people were mad that it doesn't have the racism in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that makes me, you know, is the digital age a direct reflection of the stock market?
That's a great question. Is the digital age a direct reflection of the stock market?
Because literally that's just people online saying, oh, we don't like your logo. Oh,
Yeah.
y'all changed to, oh, we didn't. And they literally just start making a roast fest.
Yeah, yeah.
Which a lot of online trolls exist. We live in an era of people will do this to you.
Yeah.
We live in an era of Jet 2 Holiday where
Yeah.
they start blowing up from
Yeah.
people just doing accidental things.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's affecting business.
Yes, it is. It is, yeah. Audience and influence is really, really big right now, right? Audience and influence is really, really big because what I think brands are understanding now is that the people are in charge and within the masses, right? Like, you don't really know if you have a good video until everybody believes you have a good video.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, a lot of that does impact the stock market, obviously. Gap was also a part of that when they had their issues with Kanye. You know, there's a lot of GameStop, obviously, right? That whole fiasco in 2020. So there's a lot of those instances that you know, affect the stock market. And I think, you know, most prevalently, you know, the companies that are the most valuable always end up at the top, where they may not necessarily, even if they do come to some sort of, I guess you could say, some stagnancy in their stock, eventually people then decide to continue to invest in that specific business. So, you know, the digital age is definitely impacting the stock market, I think, in more ways than it used to, obviously, just because times are continually evolving. And then we have, again, the iteration of like things like AI, right? So, you know, that's definitely there. But, you know, everything is being impacted, you know, by the digital age, not just the stock market, right? So it's really just about, you know, like I said, identifying what those changes are, what those trends are, and simply aligning, you know, with them. But at the end of the day, the stock market is again the biggest money marketplace. That is literally where money is being transferred continuously all the time, you know, hand over fist, right? And so it's definitely something that people should take a deeper look into, right? Whether that's with us or however, really. You know, but we have people within our community that literally tell us on a day-to-day basis, like, we are so happy that you gave us this information because we felt completely lost without it, right?
Yeah.
And the understanding of the stock market is empowering for individuals because you're, instead of looking at how you can use your hands and feet to make money, right? You're instead using your money to make more money, right? And that allows you to then, you know, have everything scaled from that standpoint.
You see, I like it, but I don't like it. And, you know, I love this thought process of mine. A lot of people won't agree with it. And it's the same thing with credit. You know, I think the same thing about credit, but I don't think the stock market is that good.
Okay.
And why I say that is because I don't think it's a recession-proof business. It's not. And what I mean by recession-proof, like, not just, you know, going through COVID or something like that. Like, if this world went apocalyptic, would a trader matter?
I would say a trader would be the last one standing.
What?
A trader would be absolutely the last
fact
one
that
standing.
you said that with a straight face is
absolutely
crazy to me.
A trader would be the last one standing.
How?
And I could break that down. See, a lot of people they get flustered by thoughts like that, or you know, and I simply smile at it because I feel like typically what happens with people is, you know, when you do enough research and thinking on a specific subject, what you start to discover is that most people don't go to the depths of where they should actually go to get the information, right? And so what I mean by that is, if you just look at the idea of a stock trader, right?
Sure.
Would you agree that the most profitable people, even in business, are in the stock market?
No.
Okay, explain.
They're not.
Okay, give me an example.
What makes
Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jeff Bezos isn't in the stock market?
I mean, he probably has some because of his financial advisors. Absolutely. You know, the rich people do dabble in it because it makes sense at that level of their money.
Right.
You know, you may as well just exchange hands of exchanging money. But I'm talking about for the majority. Because we can't talk about the 1% or even the top 10%. We got to talk about the majority. And we're talking apocalyptic. I said apocalyptic.
Right.
So apocalyptic is if money didn't matter means anymore.
Like there's nothing going on.
Yeah, if money didn't matter anymore, how is a trader going to be the last one?
The trader is absolutely the last one standing because
shot.
So this is the thinking, because especially as an options trader, right? Okay, the world went. What's the most the world has been apocalyptic in your lifetime?
In my lifetime?
Yes.
When I was in the military and something had happened. I think Obama
When were you in the military? Okay, Obama was in office.
Yeah, I think Obama was in office. And
what year was that? Give me a year.
2013.
Okay, so this isn't the stock market crash of 2008.
2014.
I mean the real estate market.
So
crash.
Something else had happened where I forget what it's called. It happened twice in my life.
For the world? You're saying for the world?
For the world. But the military, we stopped working.
Right.
We said, hey, if we're not getting paid, we're not gonna work.
So that's not apocalyptic for everyone. That's apocalyptic for you.
No, but it was affecting everybody else. But it affected us too.
Was that more apocalyptic than COVID 2020?
No.
That was where I was actually trying to get you to. I was trying to get you to COVID.
Okay.
Right?
COVID.
Now,
but I made more money during COVID.
You made more money during COVID, fine.
So it wasn't apocalyptic for me.
But it was apocalyptic for people. That's the question I was really asking you.
Okay.
Right. So 2020 was apocalyptic for people.
Yeah.
You made a lot of people made money in 2020, but a lot of people didn't make money in 2020. Right. Now, what if I told you that the people who are the most rich today made the most money
during COVID?
Yeah, now, how did they make it?
That's because money mattered.
How did they make it though?
Money mattered.
Right.
If money doesn't matter, trading doesn't matter.
But if money doesn't matter, then nothing matters almost.
Stuff still matters because we have shows like Walking Dead. You know, you see, this is apocalyptic, right? This is what we talking about. If you have shows like Walking Dead.
What's more real? What's more real, Walking Dead or COVID?
Walking Dead.
Can you pan the screen? Can you pan the screen on me real quick? This man just told me that Walking Dead is more real than COVID.
It's more real for the fact of the rebuilding of a society. COVID was orchestrated by your old boss, right?
But Walking Dead is literally a TV show.
All true jokes. J. Cole said it best. All true jokes contain true information.
Right.
That's how they make these movies and these TV shows and all of this stuff. But if and this is where we derive from, the first form of currency. I love
this conversation, actually.
The first form of currency ever used to be seashells.
Okay.
That's before they made actual printable currency a thing.
Sure.
And so you had to have an actual skill set because the monetary value behind the currency exchange wasn't that. Okay. It was a trade that had to happen.
Yeah.
And that's simply just a way to track the trade.
Right.
And so that level of trading, yes, I agree. But as far as a recession-proof, apocalyptic-proof, business, something that, which is why I'm in the industry that I'm in.
Mhm.
And this is way beyond just what people see with just upfront pictures and videos, is documentation.
Okay.
You will always need a documenter, no matter what state the world is in.
Mhm.
And that can come from your phone, that can come from a camera, that can come from a book. Look at the Bible.
Okay.
Documentation. How would we know all of these things if there's not somebody there to
Sure.
document it during the time?
Sure.
And so that's a recession-proof business.
Okay.
People, no matter who, what money, where they are, how they have it, will always need some form of documentation.
Right.
Now, will they always need trading? Absolutely not.
Mhm. Okay. So that's your viewpoint.
It is.
All right. So I can give mine now?
Absolutely.
All right, great. So your views is that Walking Dead is more realistic than than COVID, right?
Yep.
My argument is we actually lived COVID. Like people actually died during COVID, right?
Yeah.
I don't like using that word a lot.
People came from the caveman era too.
Mhm. Yeah. So, and I'm going to go another route because the stock market wasn't always about money. The word stock is actually livestock, right? So they were trading livestock. They were trading animals. They're trading corn. Okay. So I'm going to leave that for you right there. I'm
got me on that one.
I'm going to set that to the side because that was my big joker. But I wanted to that because that's the foundation of the stock market. The stock market evolved into trading money, right? But it's more so trading commodities. Livestock is commodity, right? Corn is a commodity, right? We just evolved into actually trading money. So the stock market to us now in 2025 looks like money being traded.
You know, when you say that, you don't got me, but you're standing right there with me.
Because you said,
that is a business that I can see in that kind of way of transcending everything.
The stock market is business though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. The stock market is business. So if you're saying that there's other businesses that can be created, what I'm saying is the stock market would still be involved even in that.
You're right.
Right.
If it's that capacity.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, again, the stock market is just trading commodities. So we're taking money or whatever out of it, right? Based on what you said. But I want to go back because that, like I said, that was the big joker. Stock market, livestock, right? No money involved. It became the stock market where we're trading money, right?
I'll give you that portion of it.
I believe that's to the side.
But have that portion of it.
But I'm gonna go back to COVID, right? And when we talk about an apocalypse, literally speaking, 2020 was an apocalypse. People could not come outside.
They could.
People were told not to come outside. More people were dying than any other time, at least at that specific point in time, right? There were policies in place. Literally the whole world was impacted by this, right? Like, for instance, 9/11, you couldn't necessarily call that an apocalypse because people in France, they weren't impacted by 9/11 for real. At least in their homes, right? Maybe with business and other things like that. But as far as COVID was concerned, that was the period of time where we literally were in an apocalypse, as you said. Now, with that being said, at that specific point in time, the most profitable people, the people that are making the most money today, they made the most money in their lifetime during that period. So if we're literally taking a real world example of what an apocalypse looks like, and we look at the results, because we're 5 years later, right? 5 years after the fact, we have Jeff Bezos. First of all, Elon Musk was probably the biggest beneficiary of the stock market coming down in 2020. People were making money as the stock market came down, right? Jeff Bezos was making money as the stock market came down. And it was almost every day where they were saying, Jeff Bezos has now amassed a new level of his revenue or a new level of wealth, right? Same thing for Elon Musk, right? All of these people. So the idea at that point in time is, yes, these people are the ones that end up standing the test of time, because at the end of the day, when you can't go outside to work potentially, or when
now you walking into my joker.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. All I'm saying though is at the end of the day, like, I get that we're talking about the 1%, but people, even stock traders, a lot of traders would even tell you their most profitable time, if they've been trading for a period of time and they traded into COVID, they would tell you most of their bigger profits occurred during 2020, 100%.
Right? Now, Now,
Go ahead.
flip the camera, Dan. Now he walks into my Joker.
Okay.
And this is where we seal it right here, right?
Sure thing.
And so your people, your industry is only most profitable during an era. You have a time span. And so if we look at the consistency of longevity, right?
Okay.
We're talking the infinite spectrum of life.
Sure.
Your industry is detailed based off of others.
Okay.
To the capacity of if they want it or if they don't want it.
Okay.
And so I'm a control freak.
Sure.
But I'm a control freak for the need. I'm not a control freak for the want.
Okay.
And right now, the stocks and all of that stuff that they have in there are wanted. The moment everybody decides, I don't want it, like a Cracker Barrel situation, that goes down.
Okay.
They're losing millions.
Sure.
Multiple millions.
Okay.
Because people decide, I don't like it anymore. Literally just something as simple as that. There's no concrete reason. There's no scandal. There's no fill in the blank.
Sure.
Somebody simply doesn't like it anymore. Down.
Okay.
And so for me, when it comes to, again, an industry that stands the test of time, infinite, I'm not saying, because you did bring a good point up with the livestock portion of it, that is the one portion of it that might be a need.
Okay.
But because of how the stock market has evolved, most of it has become money-based.
Okay.
In this book, I guarantee you don't talk about livestock, do you?
I actually do.
Oh!
I actually do talk about livestock in the book, guys.
You got me with the loophole.
Yeah,
so, you're one of the few.
Yeah.
One of the few. But I've had a couple other stock and options people come on here. Never heard them say livestock.
Yeah.
Because it's more oriented.
Right.
If you go up to money, or if you go, I said it. But if you go up to somebody and you do like a quick interview or whatever, you say, what's the first set of words that come to mind when you hear stock market? They're going to say money.
Money, sure.
And because that's what it's developed into. And so as long as money is the forefront of that industry, it'll never be one of the top industries, if that makes sense.
I see what you're saying. And here's how we rebut for that, just very briefly. The stock market isn't changing. It's the age of how value is being traded and transferred. Okay? Because before we had money, we had the livestock, right? So when we're talking about, like, for instance, in biblical times, like they had gold and silver and things like that. But for the most part, how you can see someone's wealth wasn't when you went into their pockets, right? It was when you saw their land, right? Where you saw their cattle, right? Their sheep, whatever the case is. And that was what was being traded. So my point is, the stock market isn't changing. It's the commodities that we are deciding to say is valuable or not valuable that changes. It's not, that's not a want. It's still a commodity. The commodity is what value is being exchanged. So again,
is GameStop a commodity?
GameStop is a business.
Is it a commodity?
Right? The commodity is the stock of the business.
Is Cracker Barrel commodity?
The same idea. So again, what I'm saying is, as long as if you're saying that there's going to be business, there's going to be the stock market, is what I'm trying to say. Business and the stock market are hand in hand. You can't separate the two. Yeah. So if you're saying that there's a business that is more profitable or whatever you could say, what my rebut to that is simply, well, when you do have a business, you have shareholders. Businesses need shareholders.
Yeah.
What are the shares? Shares are stock into that business, 100%. Right? So you can't have the stock market. You can't have business without the stock market. And then you can't have the stock market without business. So as long as the two are coinciding, you can't though.
You can.
How are you going to have
Amazon?
Well, how are you going to have shareholders?
But that's what I'm saying. You just can't have it at the level of an Amazon.
But if you're not at the level of Amazon, then you're doing business. But like, again, when we talk about the idea of even sponsorship, equity, there's stock involved in that. Even if you don't IPO, eventually the goal for most businesses is to IPO. Why? So that they can scale and make more money. At the end of the day, if you're in business to make more money,
I agree with that. Yeah.
which would then mean you need shareholders. And if you need shareholders, welcome to the stock market, guys.
You know, he has a very articulate, valid representation of this industry.
Sure.
And that's what happens when you really go at it with somebody that knows about their industry.
Yes.
Because you're not letting up.
No, I'm not.
And every time you say something about it, it actually makes sense. I'm not going to sit here and act like it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, and I start to see it from your perspective.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Good. We good. We good. We good. Let's wrap up, bro. That was great. That was great. That was great. Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
So
cool stuff.
You know, as a closing note, what would I say? What's next? How big do you want this to go?
I want it to go massive. Literally, I envision and dream of Skip Skool literally creating as many Kai Sanats as possible, right? Which would essentially mean it may not necessarily have to be about the stock market, but we're essentially talking about learning about how money is made in real time, having people understand how it's made, and basically bringing that information down to the youth. So, you know, we have sponsors that we are currently working with. We have, you know, NBA players, NFL players that are investing into what we have going on so that we can get this information to their foundations, right? To the youth, so that, you know, football camps, things like that. We have something going on a bit in Atlanta with Cam Newton. So there's a lot of different things that, you know, we have in play that are going to continue to elevate the understanding of what we do for our community, because nobody's really doing it. Like we're so focused in on ourselves. Not a lot of people are actually looking to kind of pass the information down so that our generations can be made profitable from it. But, you know, how I see Skip Skool, I see, you know, every kid essentially, you know, being a part of Skip Skool to some degree, right? Having some understanding of what it is they want to do in their adult life. But while they're earlier, you know, in age, right? Yo, what's going on? This is Wasi of Skip Skool University. Listen, are you someone that has a child, potentially middle school, high school, even into college, that wants to learn how to multiply money with money and also other entrepreneurial endeavors? You definitely want to check out Skip Skool University. So check us out at www.skipskooluniversity. We will hold your hand, get you an understanding of how money is being made today in today's current climate to set you up for the future. Chat soon. Peace. You know, so that's the whole idea. And, you know, we're not stopping until, you know, we complete the mission.
Hey, that's fire. No, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. See? And this is the perks of having people come back.
Yeah.
Because the first conversation was different.
We was doing math. We was doing math our first conversation.
Doing math, and, you know, you're making my head hurt a little bit. But this one was, you know, a friendly debate.
Yeah.
And I learned things that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of it, is to understand somebody else's realm and somebody else's world, you know, because I'm a master of what I am in my field of what I got going on.
Absolutely.
But
that's why I'm here.
You just introduced me to a whole other world. And I'm like, you know what? Stocks might not be that bad. You know, I can see the need for them.
Yeah.
Because before this conversation, I forget stocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
You got me.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
You got me, man.
I had fun. It's good to know that you know something though, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like the debate allows me to kind of travel into different thought processes, and also just times when I was just in my room just reading and researching, right? Like things I brought up today, I haven't even like, you know, thought of in a few years, if that, you know what I'm saying? So being able to kind of bring them up in such a way where, you know, they can educate people. Listen, that's what I'm here for, you know?
Impact. And so for the people who don't know where to follow you already, or how to become part of Skip Skool and, you know,
Option
Snipers, you know, Snipers University, all of that stuff, where could they do that? Yeah,
so they could follow me I'm on Instagram, TikTok, all social media, basically, at Wasi.Akin. So that's WASI.AKIN on all social media platforms. And we're also on YouTube as well. Simply just search my name, WASI, and then options, which is plural. Snipers, also plural. Wasi Option Snipers. Just do a search on YouTube. You'll see all of our videos. We've done a lot of podcasts with, Earn Your Leisure, David Shin, Social Proof. We were at some of those events, and did a lot of podcasts there as well. So yeah, definitely check those out. And get acquainted. We're definitely here to help out whoever needs to be assisted. So yeah.
There it is, man. There y'all have it. Listen, if you weren't a stock trader today, first off, how much is it to get into the community for Skip Skool?
So for Skip Skool, it's only $100 a month.
Got you.
Yep.
So now,
yeah,
I always do this. I always represent it. It's either, hey, it's above me now.
Yeah.
And he's either gonna say yes,
yeah,
or he's gonna say no.
Yeah.
I need you to let one person's child, from the audience into Skip Skool for free.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Yeah, if they just reach out to me, the first person to reach out to me.
So y'all know how we do it. We're gonna pop a word up on the screen somewhere during the podcast.
Yeah.
You gotta comment that word in our inbox or his inbox and say, hey, this is where I found this word, whatever. And we don't do it in the beginning or the end. So you gotta actually watch.
Yeah.
And we're gonna pop it up and get your kid in there for free.
Yeah.
So that they can start understanding more of this information.
Absolutely. Yeah, man.
Okay,
let's
cool.
do it. We're
gonna hold them to it.
Yeah.
And so listen, it's another episode of Attractive Mindset. I'm your host, Moneybag Rich. And at the end of the day, we always say we look good, we live good, life is good. Talk to us, we talk back, and we are out.